Texas Democratic Convention is in town beginning today. A $1 billion desalination plant on South Padre Island takes another step to fruition. And it was another good night for the Corpus Christi Hooks. This is South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Thank you for joining me on this Thursday, June 25th. Over the next several days, Democrats coming from far and wide will be attending the State Democratic Convention in Corpus Christi. A town hall was held last night before the convention begins, showcasing candidates and rallying support. KEDT's Lon Gonzalez has the story.
If Paul Revere lived today, his cry through the streets of Corpus Christi would be, "The Democrats are coming! The Democrats are coming!" And he would be right, as the Texas Democratic State Convention comes to town and bringing with it a slew of local, regional, and national level Democratic delegates to the Hilliard Center for several days of strategy. The convention had an unofficial start Wednesday evening with a town hall session at the Museum of Asian Cultures.
We all share these ideals. Of course, we differ in how we do that, but I think it's very important that we unite and know that we just want a prosperous life for all Americans, whether they're Republican, whether they're Democratic.
That's Chris Sedman, a Fort Worth delegate at the town hall, who talked about the plight of his parents who migrated from Mexico and built their lives here in Texas, many of his statements focusing on the American dream. State Party Chair candidate Kendall Scudder spoke to the group, bringing some fiery energy to the gathering.
We're furious about what is happening in this country, about the way the little people are treated, the way we're disrespected. We see it in fights that are happening across this country.
As a slate of local Democratic candidates had their say about the upcoming convention and November election, newly elected Nueces County Democratic Party Chair Connor Rice outlined what the various candidates brought to the gathering.
It's not just a Democratic slate, it's a qualified slate. And I think that was the message we heard from each and every one of our candidates, is that we're not just running off of coattails or a political party, we're running off of qualifications.
The Texas Democratic Convention kicks off with congressional candidate and entertainer Bobby Pulido providing a concert at the Hilliard Center tonight. Friday will probably see the busiest day of the convention, with a long list of Democratic bigwigs attending. For KEDT News, I'm Lon Gonzalez.
More than 5,000 Democrats from across Texas will gather for the largest Democratic convention in the country. On the other side of the political spectrum, the Nueces County Republican Party will host a South Texas Weekend of Action and Unity rally beginning today. Their weekend will consist of events to support Republican candidates and train voters on protecting their elections and having an influence in their community. The Rio Grande Valley Business Journal reports that the company planning to build a $1 billion seawater desalination plant on the far north side of South Padre Island expects to file for environmental and state and federal regulatory permits soon. RGV Desal LLC shared its plans with members of the RGV Hispanic Chamber of Commerce in McAllen on Thursday. RGV Desal is a partnership between Houston-based U.S. Desalination and IDE Technologies, an Israeli water desalination and water treatment business. The project has been in the works for the past year and a half. The Rio Grande Valley Business Journal is in partnership with KEDT. Brownsville residents say the city is moving in the right direction. That's according to a recent resident survey conducted by the city of Brownsville. The survey gathered feedback from about 1,000 residents on the city's progress, quality of life, and areas where the community should continue to invest. 61% of respondents said Brownsville is headed in the right direction. Also, 54% believe the city has made progress over the past 3 years in areas like economic growth and job opportunities, public safety, and parks and trails. The survey also pointed to where city leaders should continue to focus on, like roadway improvements, drainage, housing affordability, and nature and wildlife preservation. In state news, we start off with a new report showing access to childcare disproportionately impacting Texas women's ability to participate in the workforce. That's despite enrolling in and graduating from higher education at 1.5 times the rate of men. Karen Hughes White is president and CEO of the Texas Women's Foundation, which authored the report.
As soon as 2040, it is likely that women will be more than 50% of the workforce, and certainly more than the majority of the educated workforce.
Texas boasts one of the world's largest economies, with women comprising 46% of its workforce. White says Texas and its employers need to increase support for women to bolster the workforce and state economy. Nearly a year after catastrophic flooding in the Texas Hill Country, Camp Mystic is now fighting for its future in bankruptcy court. The Texas Newsroom's Lucio Vasquez reports on what the filing could mean for ongoing lawsuits against the camp.
Camp Mystic is facing 5 lawsuits stemming from the flood. The families suing the camp say it failed to protect their children during the disaster. But now, Camp Mystic's filing for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection has complicated the situation.
Nothing related to the litigation can proceed until there's a further order of the bankruptcy court.
Attorney Sam Taylor represents some of the families who are suing the camp. He says the bankruptcy filing has paused all legal action.
It's difficult to tell at this time how long it will last. I mean, it could be weeks or months.
Last year's July 4th flood killed 25 campers and 2 counselors at Camp Mystic. More than 130 people died across the region. I'm Lucio Vasquez in Houston.
Next week marks the 1-year anniversary of the deadly flooding that tore through the Texas Hill Country on July 4th, killing more than 130 people. Since then, public radio stations across Texas have been following survivors and trying to answer questions about why this happened and if it could happen again. Houston Public Media's Dominic Anthony Walsh hosts After the Flood, a new 5-part podcast from the Texas Newsroom and PBS's Frontline. Episode 1 is out now. Here's a preview.
On the morning of July 4th, 2025, an emergency dispatcher in the Texas Hill Country got a call.
Kerr County 911, what's the location of your emergency?
Here at Camp Mystic in Hunt, Texas. We need search and rescue.
Okay, what's going on?
We're missing as many as 20 to 40 people.
Hundreds of miles away in Houston, Matthew Childress was getting his day started.
Was ready for a non-work lazy Friday and was coming down and starting to check emails, have coffee, etc.
Matthew's 18-year-old daughter, Chloe, had left home to be a counselor that summer at Camp Mystic. The all-girls camp is one of over a dozen popular summer camps in Kerr County.
And probably about 30 minutes later, my wife came down and said that she was fielding texts from friends and family about flooding that was happening in the whole country and that we should be concerned.
Camp Mystic is right on the banks of the Guadalupe River, and on July 4th, 2025, hundreds of campers were on site. There had been a flash flood overnight, which isn't unusual in central Texas, but alarming images of the river surging over its banks started circulating around social media and the news. At home in Houston, Matthew's wife, Wendy, kept trying to text and call Chloe, but she didn't answer her phone. That wasn't necessarily cause for alarm. Camp Mystic did not allow campers or counselors to have phones, but Matthew and Wendy thought about just getting in their car and driving to Chloe.
So initially I was skeptical, thinking that yes, it may have flooded, but I'm sure everything is okay. And do we need to get in the car and actually drive for 5 hours? Just my fear is we would drive there and then we'd be driving back.
But the concerned text messages from friends and family members kept coming. And to Matthew, the urgency of the situation became clear.
So we quickly grabbed bags, threw basically overnight clothes, and also packed a small bag for my daughter just in case she might need to come home with us. Threw it all in the car, and shortly thereafter we were on the road.
Matthew aimed the car west on I-10. Along the way, Wendy tried reaching Chloe again. Still nothing. Then, after an hour on the road, the phone rang. On the line was a representative from Camp Mystic.
She called to let us know that she was calling all families that had children that were unaccounted for. And she let us know that she had just called all the campers' parents and that we were the final people to be called because we were the counselors' parents, to let us know that Chloe was unaccounted for. Clearly, our anxiety went through the roof. I was definitely driving faster than I probably should have been driving on the freeway, and I believe it was raining off and on. My sweet wife was telling me to slow down and be careful along the way, but all I could do was get there as quickly as I could to try to contribute something to help and find the girls.
You just heard some of After the Flood, a new podcast from the Texas Newsroom and Frontline covering last year's deadly floods in the Texas Hill Country. The show's hosted by Houston Public Media's Dominic Anthony Walsh. Episode 1 is available now. You can find After the Flood wherever you get your podcasts. On to sports. For the second straight game, the Corpus Christi Hooks jumped on an early lead against the Tulsa Drillers. They opened Wednesday's contest by scoring 4 runs in the first inning and tallied 10 runs total to again defeat the Drillers 10-1. The The Drillers have been outscored 20-2 by the Hooks and limited to just 8 hits in the first 2 games this week. That series continues through this weekend. And in soccer, the Corpus Christi FC Sharks fought to a scoreless draw in their match against AV Alta FC on Wednesday. The Sharks only possessed the ball for a little over a quarter of the match. CCFC jumped to 13th place in the United Soccer League, or USL League One standings, with 15 points, while AV Alta remained in 4th place. The Sharks next take on the Charlotte Independents this upcoming Wednesday for a road match. Then they're back at Cabinets Field on July 4th to take on the Chattanooga Red Wolves SC. And that is the latest news and information on South Texas Midday. I'm Rob Boskamp. Your community arts calendar and more is on the way.